Hey, I'm Ken. Welcome to Stock Market Unfiltered. We take a candid / funny look at the stock market. Try to be somewhat entertaining and educational. Happy Wednesday after a dismal week of tariffs and taxes and everything else. The Dow, just so you know, the Dow was down 4,500 points in the last week. Last week, I had my worst loss in my portfolio in one day. Now, I'm not ashamed to say it. It was like minus $5,000 for all the stocks in my portfolio. It doesn't count U.S. Treasuries and stuff, but just the stocks. And I got my friends here today. The numbers guy right here. I had to bring him up after a dismal week. And I want to talk about patience. You know, I've talked about FOMO, which is fear of missing out. Today, I had the largest gain in one day I've ever had in my portfolio. It was like $6,500. That wipes out last week's $5,000 loss in one day. So this is why I want to talk about patience. Last week, the Dow was down 10% after losing 4,500 points in a week. You can just pull up you can just go to your iPhone and look in week to date for the Dow, and you could have seen that. You can't now because the Dow was up so much today. Speaking of the Dow, it was plus 2,962 points to 7.87% gain. And the NASDAQ had its best day in 17 years. What they said, I think it was 2008. It might be. Last I heard, it was the second biggest gain ever for the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ ended the day at plus 1,857 points. I've never seen that on the NASDAQ. That was a 12.16% gain. And the S&P 500, even that was up 474 points, which is a rarity in itself when you're talking about the S&P 500. That was plus 9.52%. And you've heard me talk about the CBOE. It's the volatility index. Remember I've talked about it? I like it when it's in the 20s. Do you know last week at one point it was in the 40s, like 41, 42? That's absurd to have a volatility index that high. And believe it or not, at one point today, the volatility index was at 51. I know these are just a bunch of numbers, but the point is, when the market's at 20 or less, I'm talking about volatility-wise, when the market's at 20 or less, that's a good indication. Things are going to school. Everything's going good, and everybody's on a smooth level, and it's happy-go-lucky. Things are going like they say they are. And when it gets above 20, it's a little bit more volatile. Then when it gets 30, it's more volatile. And when it's at 40, it's extremely volatile. And when it's past 50, which I hardly have ever seen, it's risky. The volatility index. This is after, let me wait for it to roll back up. There we go. The volatility index, the number's at 33.62. That's a minus 35% loss today, which is a good thing on the CBOE. You want it to lose. You don't want it to gain. You want it to be on a loss. But it was down 18.71 points. It's currently at 33.62. So that tells you that at one time today, the volatility index was over 51, which I've never seen that I can remember. I'm sure it's been there before, but that's insane. And then at 1:15 this afternoon, our president announced that he was going to do baseline tariffs, which is nothing but a tax. So if we import something that's $100 and it's got a 10% tariff on it, that means it's going to cost the company importing it $110, and they pass that $110 on you. They might charge us $130 because everybody's got to make their money. It's the way it works. But back to my patience. Last week, when I was looking at my portfolio crash and losing $5,000 in one day, I was out there. Guess what I was doing? It was an extremely big Black Friday sale. I was buying stocks like crazy. I will give you an example. NVIDIA, which I've talked about NVIDIA before. They're probably one of the best GPU makers in all of America, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. They run all the best AI equipment and things like that. So, hold on, let me get a swallow of this. Yeah, it's a Michelob. I'm celebrating today of my patience. Back to NVIDIA. I saw this stock going down. I knew it was being taken down unnecessarily. It was just caught up in everybody. Every stock I had was down at one point. There was 2 days in a row. Every single stock in my portfolio was a sea of red. I don't like red unless it's on a fire truck. Why? Because I was a firefighter for 25 years. Volunteer in the state of North Carolina. So. But today, every stock in my portfolio is green, which is my favorite color when it comes to the stock market. But back to NVIDIA. It got down all the way to somewhere in the low 90s, like 91, 92. Its 52-week high is $153. NVIDIA's not going anywhere. They were just getting crushed by the tariffs and this, that, and the other. So I picked up quite a few shares. My average cost, because I bought some around 102 and I bought some at 94. So my average cost was $100. And today, it was up $18.03. So my patience paid off. The whole idea about having patience. Don't get acting emotional. I could have been emotional and sold every damn stock I had trying to avoid this loss. But had I done that, I would have been a loss. So today, everything is green. And so NVIDIA is at $114.33. It was an $18 gain today. So and I had around 100 shares, so that's a $1,800 gain in one day, just on one stock. And you've heard me talk about ABR. I had that stock too. It's been crushed. My overall cost is higher than what it is right now, but that's okay. I have faith in it. And I bought that stock yesterday. Ticker symbol for Arbor Realty Trust is ABR. That's the ticker symbol. NVIDIA, by the way, is NVDA. Because I didn't like the NVIDIA at one point because it didn't pay a dividend. Now it does pay a dividend. And it's kind of a tech high volatile stock, but I still got it. But anyway, I bought ABR in after hours yesterday at $10.15. Today it's at 11.08. It was a 93-cent gain. That's a 9.16% gain in ABR. And speaking of NVIDIA, that gain was almost exactly what the dollar figure was. It gained $18.03. That's an 18.72% gain. So there we go, back to my patience again. And I picked up some shares. I don't know if I'm going to tell you now, but there's this company I have called VTS. It's VTS Energy Incorporated. It's VTS is the ticker symbol. I bought that in after hours yesterday for $19.55 because I saw that was unnecessarily beat up. This is an energy company. They operate in North Dakota, Montana, and their bases in Colorado. They kind of deal with oil and imports. The only thing they transport things like that. But that stock was up 8.33% today, /$1.64, and now it's at $21.33. And I bought this yesterday in after hours because I do have access to after hours trading, which is a good thing. And that stock's at $21.33. So that's a pretty good gain from $19.55 to $21.33. That's almost a $2 gain. It's about $1.78, somewhere around there. So I hope you guys that follow me, you guys know I'm in the market for income because I'm retired. So and a 401k plan that I have still, I don't manage that. Somebody else manages that, but that's where I've been supplementing my Social Security with, is the 401k plan, and I've got my pension plan. I took the lump sum. That's what I'm managing myself, along with 4 or 5 other people's money. But the whole point of this video is to be patient and stay calm. And another thing I have said in the past, that there's only like 10 days out of the year where you actually make money. This is one of those days. I was buying stocks. Yeah, I had some stocks that are below my cost base, but that's okay. I think the stock market's gonna do good tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. But it's patience game. I could have been emotional and sold a bunch of stuff, but instead I used logic and was buying stocks at what I call discount prices. And you guys know I own Aries Capital Corporation. I've talked about that. The ticker symbol is ARCC. I didn't get a chance to buy any of that, but it was up $2 a day. And I think I have a couple hundred shares of that too. So that was nice. But my Nvidia today, that was, like I said, it was about $1,800 gain, still one day. And I'm actually way ahead now for my cost basis, so for my total profit and whatnot. So let me see. Okay. I bought this stock April 3rd and April 4th. Let's talk about Nvidia. So I've had it about 5 days, and it's plus 13.25% in 5 days. After the market's been down 10%. Now, mind you, Nvidia went below my cost basis, but it went crawling up today. Actually, not crawling, running like a roller coaster, up, not down. So I just wanted to come on. I haven't been on a while, and see how tariffs affect things. News of the day, and if you have good stocks, be patient. No need to sell out of fear. If you got good stocks there, they're going to come back. I'm telling you, they always do. I've been doing this since '92 now, so we're looking at 33 years now. Getting old. But I just wanted to say, stay the course. Be patient. Don't act on emotion. Act on logic. Because if I had acted on emotion last week, I wouldn't have had this great big $6,500 gain today. So, anything else mainly comes up for too long, I'll be back up here. I got to get out of this, going up here once a month and doing things. I've been busy, a lot of stuff, trying to do some businesses and things. So, do stay busy. But I do like coming out here just talking, because I'm just the average country boy from North Carolina that does the stock. I've been doing it for 33 years, and give you some common sense approach to investing. And like I said, my strategy is income. So, although Nvidia is more of a growth stock, I don't want to call it speculated, because that's not a speculative stock. That's one of the Magnificent Seven stocks. If you've heard about them, they talk about that all the time. I think part of that Magnificent Seven is Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, Google, and probably a few more that I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember all 7 of them. So Apple had one of its best days it's had in years. So it was a heck of a day. So I appreciate you guys watching. And remember to be patient when it comes to stocks. Act logically, not emotional. When you act emotional, you're acting out of fear. And when you act out of fear, you miss out. So guys, have a great Wednesday. Appreciate you listening. Also, have a great week. Talk to you later.